Yo, I hate when people, like, underestimate me. Like, how fast I am for one video. Like, that was one video. Like, I'm fast. I'm fast as fuck.
What's good, Mind Speakers? If you click this video, you may not know who I am, but you know exactly why I'm here. I'm here to talk about Nicki Minaj and Tekashi 6IX9's new song, Fefe, and how I feel about it, and how I feel about all the conversations that's going on around it, cause it's a lot of stuff. So first off, let's just talk about the origin of Fefe, and let's unpack it from my perspective. Because, let's just call it what it is, I'm a fan of Tekashi 6IX9's music. I think that a lot of his music is really fucking good. So with that being said, I heard him post his verse of Fefe on his Instagram like last month or some shit, and he was saying that him and Murder Beats were trying out something different, and this sound was way different from the sound of his other music. Usually he's doing way more kind of screamo rap type shit, but this time it was way different. So I was like, oh dope, I'm waiting for Fefe. I've been excited for this song for a long time. Now this is long before the Nicki Minaj feature, I guess, was even an idea. But then on my Twitter timeline, I started to see people freaking out saying that Nicki Minaj and 6ix9ine have a song together. Now some people were happy, a lot of people were unhappy. And how did I feel when I heard that? I didn't really know how to feel because I was like, alright, because Nicki and 6ix9ine to me do two completely different things that to me it really wouldn't make sense. Then I thought, okay, what if we got him doing his screamo shit with some Roman shit? Like, that shit might be fire. So I was like, alright, everybody calm down. This might be exactly what everybody wants. But then when I heard it was gonna be Fefe, I was like, alright, cool, that's the song he was teasing last month. Let's see how she tackles this. So now let's just talk about the song. I love it. Like, I'm not even gonna hold you. I love this song. Here's why I love this song. Not just because I'm a fan of both of the artists' music, but Tekashi 6ix9ine's part of the song was done. So this is just another brilliant example of why Nicki Minaj is one of the best feature artists of our time, easily top 3 feature artists of all time. Because when it comes down to song structure and how to meld herself into a song, she knows exactly what she's doing. So both of them get 2 verses. On 6ix9ine's second verse, he says, Draco got that kickback, when I blow that, they all do track, they don't shoot back, one shot, close range, red dot, head tight, yeah, I did that, yeah, I lived that. So that's like kind of like the flow of the whole song. It's like dun 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 dun, because the beat is very haunting. So I'm thinking, what can Nicki come in and do that can change this up? Should she change this up? Like, what is she gonna do? How's she gonna attack this? So she chose to keep the same flow, which I agree with, because anything else wouldn't have sounded fluid, it wouldn't have sounded cohesive, so she kept the same flow. Her first verse passes, and I'm like, you know what? Of course, Nicki does what she always does, especially when she's working with artists that do different things than what she does. She still brings her Nicki Minaj, YMCMB, punchline metaphor style of rap to another style of rap and blends them. Which I'm like, word, because realistically, we just sat and watched 6ix9ine say a whole bunch of words to us, no punchlines, no nothing. It's just that the flow is crazy with the beat, if we're being real. So then here comes Nicki and she does her thing. But I'm like, alright, that's cute, it's not life-changing. Is that it? That can't be it. And then she comes in with her second verse, and she starts hers the same way he started his second verse. And so she comes back in, hey yo, Draco got that kickback, when it kick back, you can't get your shit back. In fact, this, that, bitch, that, I hate small talk, I don't fuck with chit-chat, AC just stopped working, so they hit me, told me bring my wrist back. So I'm like, you know what? There she goes, I'm reloaded. Like, yes, you did your job. And that to me is why the song is good, because realistically, Nicki could have really come in here and fucked this shit up if she decided to switch the flow or do some dumb shit, but she really didn't. Came in, she strategically chose the same flow as to not disrupt things or try to find another pocket, because find it for what? She still gave bars and married the song together by starting the second verse the way he started his second verse. All that stuff cannot be left out when we're talking about artistry, when we're talking about lyricism, is that when it comes down to song structure, she's pretty fucking good at it. Like, you gotta give her that if nothing else. But now let's talk about them both as artists and why it makes sense or doesn't make sense, because it's been this huge thing as to why people feel like they shouldn't work together or they should work together. Because bottom line is, whether you care or not, it's done. But here's my thing. Tekashi 6ix9ine is a hated rapper. He's probably the most hated rapper out right now because of a lot of his antics, because of a lot of his bullshit, and I get it. To me, I like the music, and before you judge me, I'm also a fan of Azalea Banks' music, even though she's a douche canoe, so it's like, what do you want from me? But here's what I'm saying. Who else is the most hated rapper in the game right now? Nicki Minaj. Whether she's doing something positive or negative, she's always gonna get a disproportionate amount of hate. And I've said this before, if you haven't watched my Culture Clinic video on Nicki Minaj, go ahead and watch that. I feel like Nicki ingests a lot of that hate because she is very active on social media, so she is very in tune to the things that people say in the shade room comments, which is just a breeding ground for fuck shit. And on Twitter, we've seen her clap back. Like I said, social media right now for Nicki Minaj is amplifying the amount of hate that's actually out there. Because realistically, they treat Nicki, she's as good as her last verse. If she does a good job on something, everybody's up her ass. And when she does a bad job on something, everybody hates her and they call her a whole bunch of names and all this other shit, which they're gonna do anyway. And I guess that's kind of hard for her to balance out, which is why I just think that social media may not be the best place to keep Nicki Minaj in a good place mentally. But when you take how she's been feeling in the last couple of weeks and how she's been feeling, she's gotta feel like him. She's gotta feel like we're both New York. Obviously, he jacks that he's the king, whether you agree or not, that's what he jacks. She's the queen. They both get a lot of hate, and that's why the first scene in the video, you see them playing patty cake together. To me, that just symbolizes some like, all of y'all are out there hating on what we're doing, and they both live in this colorful fantasy rainbow world, which I'm like, that totally makes sense. The video really tied together the brands for me, where I was like, duh. Of course. And she embraces all the weirdo kids. She embraces Uzi, who lives in that same world, and Young Thug, who lives in that same world, because like I say all the time, Nicki Minaj is a weirdo. So it made sense. I love the video. I just want to see a little bit more CGI, special effects from Nicki Minaj on her own projects incorporating this color. She has the ability, the access, and the capital to really push that visual artistry to another level. But really, her thing is rap, and if she doesn't want to, she'll always be a great rapper. I ain't got nothing else to say about that. But here's what we're here to talk about, because I've talked about all the reasons why, to me, that it makes sense and why the song is good. A lot of people have a problem with Nicki Minaj working with Tekashi 6ix9ine because of Tekashi 6ix9ine's charges. For those of you who don't know, Tekashi 6ix9ine has some form of statutory rape charge from a time where he was in a situation with a whole group of guys, and a girl who he said she was 18 came to a party, and you know, a lot of inappropriate things went down. He says that nobody had sex with the girl, but there were inappropriate things that happened. It turns out that the girl was actually 13 and she was AWOL from a group home. Now everybody there says that they didn't know that the girl was 13. To both you and me, it's kind of like you can't discern in your brain the difference between a 13-year-old and an 18-year-old, because there's a whole 5 years and all this puberty and other stuff that goes down that you could probably tell. But listen, that's neither here nor there. He pled guilty. He says he pled guilty because he was afraid, because the people scared him. He didn't have any money. He had a baby on the way, all this other shit. Whatever. It's a very confusing situation that a lot of people don't know about. I also don't know a lot about. You don't know a lot about. So everybody that's doing all this shit, it's like the same thing with XXX. If you don't have all of the information, and if all you do is sit on Twitter and listen to what other people say about things, you don't know. And I'm not saying because you don't know that he deserves the benefit of the doubt, because not necessarily. You're allowed to feel how you feel about it, and I'm allowed to feel how I feel about it, and Nicki is allowed to feel how she feels about it. So now everybody is calling Nicki Minaj into question. How dare you work with him? How dare you work with an abuser? Yada yada, all that other shit. I'd hate to bring other artists into this, but I gotta say, you know, if this is the energy that we're gonna have, then everything is gonna be a slippery slope. Cardi B's biggest single is Bodak Yellow, and we're no stranger to knowing Kodak Black's charges. If that's the case, why did everybody bop to Bodak Yellow? He may not be featured, but I mean, that's his song. And trust me, this is not me trying to co-sign the argument that Nicki working with 6ix9ine was wrong, because I don't feel like it was wrong. This is just me trying to give examples of hip-hop artists who work with other hip-hop artists for the sake of hip-hop music and work with people who may have charges. Because let's unpack it from this view. When certain artists become so big, they become pop artists, and you start to gain a younger fan base with a younger perspective on everything. You have a lot of different people looking at you, and therefore that gives you a lot more responsibility. And so somebody like Nicki Minaj and someone else, who else I'm gonna bring up, Drake, they've inherited that responsibility. But they're hip-hop artists. When you put hip-hop artists in that position, you make them vulnerable. And that leaves room for people like Remy Ma and Pusha T to come in and violate, and they can't respond actively or the way that they're supposed to, because they have to still keep up that image for these little kids, or for these people who are not of the culture. They have to keep that image up to say, if I say this, damn, I'm gonna lose my fans, I can lose these sponsorships, I can lose these partners. They have so much to lose. And so y'all put them in situations where you make them soft. So you say things like Nicki and Drake aren't hungry, Nicki and Drake don't wanna win rap beef. I'm pretty sure they have lots of things that they wanna do and say, but they can't do because y'all put these pop star optics on them. And Cardi B is getting ready to feel that in a second, because it's only a matter of time before somebody starts saying, how dare you, Cardi, do this, and that. I'm pretty sure y'all are already doing that because she's so big that she's becoming pop. Hip-hop culture has a lot of growth to do. There are a lot of people who are of hip-hop culture who have a lot of charges that are like, really? Wow. And now we're looking at a time where hip-hop and morality are starting to cross, and there's no real answer as to what you do and why. If she's a fan of his music, she can't create music with him. Terry Richardson, the photographer, is a known creep. Do you know how many artists who don't stand for sexual assault have taken pictures with Terry Richardson? Including Nicki Minaj, but also including Lady Gaga, and including Miley Cyrus, and including Rihanna. I mean, let's be real. All of this is new. Just because you work with someone or if you fuck with their art, that doesn't mean you're co-signing their actions. That doesn't mean you co-sign what they do. It just means that you're collaborating, you're a colleague. And I'm not necessarily saying it's right. I'm not necessarily saying it's wrong. All I know is that if I was Nicki Minaj, I would just kind of out of sight, out of minded. But as far as 6ix9ine's music goes, I fuck with his music. As far as this one case, I don't know anything about it. But I know if it was somebody like R. Kelly, who is a known repeat offender, who constantly does this and preys on black women and is doing horrible shit, and they keep doing it, if you're still working with R. Kelly like a lot of people are still working with R. Kelly. A lot of people have done lots of things with R. Kelly after having visual evidence that he's involved with underage girls, including marrying Aaliyah when she was like 15. That was known. And I'm not gonna call out any names, but there were a lot of people in hip-hop who still did whatever they wanted to do. They did joint albums with them. I don't want to shade Hove. Yes, Jay-Z and R. Kelly had the whole best of both worlds shit. That Jay-Z, I believe, cut short very quickly. But that's all I'm saying is that we have to decide in hip-hop what we're doing, because that's a tough call. So if you don't support Tekashi 6ix9ine, I understand. I just happen to like his music because it's very New York and it's fun to me. And that doesn't mean that I stand by everything that he's done. I just like his music. I think his music is dope. That's just the truth. And I know a lot of people say it's a privilege to be able to separate somebody from their art. Yeah, it is. It really is. But I think there's a limit to separation. I would not separate R. Kelly from his art. So basically, I like Fefe. You tell me, is Nicki Minaj wrong for working with 6ix9ine? Is it wrong for artists to be able to collaborate? Should artists be able to say, you know what, you save your judgments for you out there, but as far as collaborating, we should be able as artists to fuck with each other's art? Because I feel like it's an open conversation because there really are no rules. I just don't see a problem with Nicki Minaj working with 6ix9ine specifically. I feel like nobody said that to A Boogie, or nobody said that to Fetty Wap, or nobody said that to Spin King, or really anybody else that he works with. No one said that to The Breakfast Club when they had him up there. I feel like this is an unfair sanction that is being placed on Nicki Minaj, much due in part to her success and her visibility, and what a Nicki Minaj feature and a Nicki Minaj cosign can mean. It means more than any of those cosigns. I completely get it, but she's of the culture. And at this point, could you say it's a bad move for her? I mean, the song is doing extremely well, so gotta take the good with the bad, I guess. And as usual, if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. If not, suck a dick, and I'll be seeing you guys later. Deuce.
And then when you ready to me, I'm just trying to be the kind of man I'ma be. Gotta hit it.
I've heard enough, Chance. I've heard enough. It's a skip. Sorry, that's a skip. I don't want to hear that. I just don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it.